you very much. Hello and welcome to Sports Anorak of the Year and the last of our second round games. It is mathematically possible for all three of our contestants to win through to the semi-finals, but it's about as likely as Denise Van Outen having Russell Grant's love child. Still, stranger things have happened, but not this century. So let's meet our contestants in a big hand first, please, for Robert Banks. How are you, Robert?
Fine, thank you, Rory.
All right, happy? Relaxed?
Yep.
What subject will you be answering questions on today?
I'm answering questions on West Ham United since 1980.
You're a big Hammers fan, obviously.
Yes, indeed.
Now, and you run a fanzine, don't you, for West Ham?
I don't run it, I write for it.
Which one?
Yeah, it's called Overland and Sea.
What sort of... they're funny names, fanzines. Do they have one called Forever Blowing Bubbles, or is that not?
That was a couple of years ago. I used to write for that one as well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because the one I like is Up the Arse, is the Arsenal one. It's true. It's very true. And Norwich City have a very amusing fanzine called Manure on the Telly Again, which I think is excellent. It says you like live comedy.
Yep.
And you play the guitar.
I do.
What sort of guitar do you play?
It's an acoustic.
And what sort of stuff do you play?
Just sort of
folk, rock.
Rock, yeah. Or Oasis and stuff like that.
So actually, the sort of your ideal show would be a sort of live comedy act featuring a band with acoustic guitars, like, for example, my band, Death by Country. Have you ever? I've got some videos and posters you can have later on. Thanks, Robert. Let's move on now to Jim Lowton. Jim, welcome back.
Thank you.
What are you answering questions on?
European professional cycling in the 60s.
You're a cyclist. You do it yourself, don't you?
I used to do, yes.
When did you give up?
Oh, early 1970s.
Right, quite a while ago. I couldn't. You know why I couldn't do cycling like that?
Why?
Because my bike has a basket on the front, you see, and they never. Is that against? They never have a basket on the front, do they?
No, they don't. No.
Which is always. I mean, where do they put the sandwiches?
Where do they put them? They usually keep them in the back pockets.
Yeah. Really? Couldn't do that. Once mistaken for David Vine. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah.
So
when he was doing the skiing, you know.
Oh, I see now. I thought he must have been pissed at a snooker match. Pissed at a snooker match. That's David Vine over there. It's rather insulting, isn't it? Because you've got an intelligent face. You're good looking. You don't slur your words. You know.
That's true.
And you're the original Full Monty. Yeah. Apparently once appeared on stage naked in front of a room full of women.
This is true.
How did that happen?
Quite accidentally. Well, when I used to be racing, the changing rooms used to be village halls, church halls, and I turned up late to change for a race once, and the only room, I opened the door and it was onto a stage. So I go on the stage, get changed, go out to the race, come back, get on the stage to get stripped off, and I can hear ladies' voices on the other side of the curtain. But what I didn't know was they had somebody visiting who was going to give them a speech on something. So I just got stripped off and toweling down, and all of a sudden the curtains went. They all laughed.
Fantastic. They all laughed.
Yeah.
You didn't get a standing ovation.
No.
Probably a bit cold, isn't it? Very good. Thank you, Jim. And now on to Andy Taylor. But hardly got time to ask you any questions, Andy.
That's all right, Rory.
Good night. That's all we've got time for this week. Thank you. Now, what subject are you doing, Andy? I can ask you that, can't I?
World Cup final stages 1930 to 66.
And where are you from?
Blackpool.
Blackpool? Yeah. We get a lot of northerners on. There are more northerners on this show. I mean, by about sort of 75% northerners. Why do you think that is? Are northerners just cleverer than southerners?
Your words, not mine, Rory.
No, I'm just wondering. What about you, Jim? You're a northerner, aren't you? Yeah. What is it? You're just cleverer than us. We've got less to do up there, except learn lots of sport.
Prefer to go for it, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Now, your partner, Andy, goes line dancing. Is that true?
She does now and then, yeah.
Do you ever do it at all?
It's not really my cup of tea.
But have you ever done it, Andy? Come on.
Never, ever.
Have you had an embarrassing moment? Have you ever appeared on stage and naked in front of women, Andy?
Not that I can remember, no.
Ever been mistaken for David Vine?
No.
OK, that's enough. Let's get on with the game then. And as usual, we begin with the first 11 on the board. We have 11 years. In turn, I'll ask you a question and you have to pick which year you think is the correct answer. If you're right, you get a point. Some years may be the answer to more than one question and some are not answers at all. You have 3 questions each and 5 seconds thinking time, which is over when you hear this noise. And please, 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 I beg you, no pandering. They're an endangered species, all right? Now, Robert, you won the knockdown ginger contest we held earlier. In fact, you knocked Mick Hucknall down twice, which was a real crowd pleaser, I can tell you. Well done. So you get the first question in the first round. In which year did West Ham sign Bury's England schoolboy international Paul Hilton for £100,000?
1984.
Is correct. Jim. In which year did cyclist Barry Hoban win the Frankfurt Henninger Turm?
1966.
Is spot on. And Andy, In which year did Russia and Colombia produce a 4-4 draw in a World Cup tournament game?
1962.
Spot on, full marks all round. Back to Robert. In which year was West Ham's Trevor Brooking awarded the MBE?
81.
Correct. 1981, I trust you meant that. Good. Jim, in which year did Les West turn professional riding for Holdsworth Cycles?
1962.
No, 69 it was, I'm sorry. Andy, in which year did Juan Hoberg score twice for the losing side in a World Cup semi-final? Might be Herberg.
1954.
Yeah, that is correct. Do you know what game it was as a matter of interest?
Uruguay-Hungary.
Yeah, Uruguay-Hungary 40, that's very good. Robert, in which year did a goal by Tony Gale put West Ham joint top of Division 1?
1985.
Oh, bad luck, 86 it was. The opening game against Coventry. Jim, in which year was cyclist Jacques Anquetil decorated as Chevalier of the Legion of Honour by General de Gaulle?
1966.
A lot of French words in that question. 1966 is correct. And finally, Andy, in which year did Englishman Bill Ling referee the final of the World Cup?
1954.
1954 is correct. That's the end of round 1. Let's look at the scores. Oh, well, Robert and Jim both have 2, but in the lead at this stage with 3 points is Andy. Second string now, where once again we give you the answers. On the board you see a string of 9 numbers, and nestling within them are all the answers. So it could be, for example, 5, it could be 74, it could even be 461. But no answer has more than 3 digits, and on that I give you my word as a man who has had his finger in a lot of pies. Well, I used to work at Mr. Kipling's factory, in fact. You must know. I have to remind you that you only have 5 seconds to answer, so Jim, you came second in our knockdown ginger contest, but once you caught Chris Evans, you knocked 7 shades of shit out of him, which again was a crowd pleaser. So you get the first question of round 2. Of the 130 starters in cycling's 1962 Giro d'Italia, how many finished the race?
71.
Bad luck, it was 47, but less than 130. I think that was a good road to go down. Andy, what was the final score of the 1950 final pool match between Brazil and Sweden?
7-1.
Correct. Robert, how many goals did Tony Cottee score in West Ham's record 10-0 Milk Cup win against Bury?
4.
4 is correct. Jim, how many metres did Belgian rider Ferdinand Bracker add to cycling's world hour record in 1967?
144.
No, 747, I'm afraid. Andy, how many goals did England concede in the 1962 World Cup Finals tournament?
6.
6 is correct. And finally, Robert, how many first team appearances did Alan Devonshire make for West Ham?
144.
It's 446, amazingly. So new string, please, 9 new digits, and starting once again with Jim. Between 1960 and 1969 inclusive, how many times did a Swiss rider win the Zurich Championship?
3.
3 is correct. Andy, how many goals in total were scored in the third place playoff match between Austria and Uruguay in the 1954 World Cup Finals?
4.
4. Sir Robert, how many times was Julian Dix sent off in West Ham's promotion-winning 92-93 season?
3.
No, it's 761. No, right, 3. 3 is correct, very good. Jim, in the 1969 Tour de France, how many minutes behind the winner, Eddie Merckx, did the previous year's winner, Jan Janssen, finish?
That's a nasty one.
It's a nasty question to read out, let alone answer.
24.
53, I'm afraid. 53. Andy, How many goals in total did Bobby Charlton score in World Cup finals tournaments?
5.
4, I'm afraid, is the answer. Bad luck. Robert, when West Ham were relegated from the First Division at the end of the 91-92 season, how many points had they scored?
37.
Oh, very bad luck. It was 38, I'm afraid. Hard luck. So that's the end of round 2. Let's have a look at the scores. In third place is Jim with 3. In second place, Robert with 4. But in the lead, Andy Taylor with 6 points. So, Andy, nice to be on top, but like Jim and Robert, I always welcome the chance of coming from behind. See you after the break. Bye-bye.
If you want a car that's tough and durable, try the Citroen Saxo with reinforced safety cell, side impact protection system, and that's not all. Sound deadening, and an acoustically engineered floor to reduce engine noise. The Citroen Saxo, available from $6,995.
How would I most like to have a one-to-one? As clearly and perfectly as possible with a 19th century tracker called Manawa. I'd ask him how he learned to recognize every minute sound in the desert. And how could he hear horses approaching from so far away? If I had a one-to-one with Manawa, I'd want to know if he could tell that I was his great-great-grandson just by the sound of my voice.
EFR is the clearest digital sound quality you can get. From one-to-one, you'll really hear the difference. Now when you join one-to-one, you can bring your existing mobile phone number with you.
You alright?
Go away.
Alright. Yeah.
Not everything in life has to be a hassle, does it?
Not when you do things where and when you want. Watch this. Come on, check it out. Crack! Wow. I want to ride that right now. You can play me bongos if you want. I play them wherever I want, I really do. Oh, but I couldn't sit on this table, could I? Well, you get a better view from this one, that's all. I once had a 3-course meal inside a duck. Ah! No! Out of order. I need a novelty item now!
It's so simple with First Direct. You can bank when and where you want. First Direct, 24-hour banking.
As we get older, our skin loses its natural ability to prevent wrinkles. Now, Anti-Wrinkle Q10 Repair Cream is available for the first time from Nivea Visage. Clinical tests prove that the unique formula visibly reduces the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles within 6 weeks. Guaranteed. That's why it's just won a beauty award from New Woman magazine. New Anti-Wrinkle Q10 Repair Cream from Nivea Visage.
If you want a car that's tough and durable, try the Citroen Saxo. Available with 3 years free insurance. It's the ideal safety package.
Welcome back. Just in time to witness the flyby from the Red Arrows. There they go. You know, it never ceases to amaze me how skillful those pilots are and how many hours of training goes into perfecting something as mind-numbingly dull as that. Still, back to our match, the next round, the third set. Once again, it's not just question and answer, because each question not only has a correct answer worth 1 point, but it also has, lurking on the board, a connection for a bonus point. There they are. Now, Andy, you came third in our knock-down ginger contest. You did manage to get Ginger Spice down, but then you stayed down with her. For quite a long time, actually. In fact, we're thinking of renaming it the Knocked Up Ginger Contest. So, so this next question is for you, and I think you'll like it as well. Who scored his team's winning goal from the penalty spot in a 2-1 semi-final victory over Brazil in the 1938 World Cup?
Puck.
Sorry?
Puck.
Yes, you did say what I thought you said. But no, that is definitely not what's on the card. It's Giuseppe Meazza, Italy's captain, and can you guess the connection? You'll still get a bonus point.
Fiat.
No, not a bad guess. Well, actually, yes, a bad guess. That's completely wrong. Sorry about that. Robert, which club were West Ham playing on the 21st of April 1986 when Alvin Martin scored each of his 3 goals against a different keeper?
Newcastle United.
Correct. And do you know what the connection is?
Beardsley was one of the keepers.
Yeah, it's funny you should choose Beards, isn't it? Someone who's 4'2". Sorry, Jim. Which cyclist's first major came in the 1969 Het Volk?
Roger de Vlaming, Belgium.
Very good. Connection?
Is Eeklo. They used to call him the Gypsy of Eeklo.
Did they really? Excellent. Bonus point to you. Andy, who are the only non-South American country to be seeded in the inaugural World Cup of 1930?
The USA.
Very good. Connection?
The Shot Putters.
Do you know why?
They're quite big lads, so that was the nickname that other teams gave them.
Yeah, it was the French apparently who thought these powerfully built Americans were shot putters. Who says the French have no sense of humour? Everybody. So, Robert, who scored West Ham's 4th goal in a home league match against Barnsley on January the 10th, 1998?
John Moncur.
Is correct. Connection?
Schultz.
No, incorrect, I'm afraid. So moving on to Jim. When cyclist Hugh Porter won his World Cycling Pursuit title in 1968, who did he beat in the final? Oh, yeah. I thought that was you making that noise then. Ola Ritter, does that ring a bell?
Ritter, yes.
Ritter,
yes,
yeah.
Of course it was, yeah.
Connection?
Shorts.
No, incorrect, I'm afraid. So moving on to Andy. Which country knocked Russia out of the 1962 World Cup tournament?
Chile.
Very good indeed. Connection?
Riera.
That was a guess, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Very good. No, I like that. That's good. He was the manager. Fernando Riera was the manager. Very good indeed. Robert, which club did West Ham beat 1-0 in the 88-89 season to record their 1,000th league win?
Was it Millwall?
It was Millwall. And the connection?
Paul Ince scored the goal.
The traitor. He scored the goal. That's correct for a bonus point. Jim. In the 1968 Paris Tours, Eddie Merckx pulled over to allow which of his teammates through as a reward for help earlier in the season?
Guido Reybok.
Is correct. Connection?
Car wash. He won 3 Paris Tours altogether, and when he retired he opened a car wash and called it Paris Tours.
That's very good indeed. Bonus point, very good. New board, please. 9 new connections. And starting once again with Andy. Yugoslavia began their 1950 World Cup Pool 1 match against Brazil with only 10 men because one of the players was receiving treatment for a head injury sustained just before the game. Who was it?
Mitic.
Very good indeed. Connection?
Girder.
Yeah, do you know why?
He was warming up and he hit his head on the line girder.
It was his girlfriend Gerda. And he banged his head against the floor. That's very good indeed. Robert, in the summer of 1987, which man left West Ham for Notts County?
Oh, Jeff Pike.
Jeff Pike, very good. Just in time, yeah, connection for a bonus point.
Dynamo Zagreb.
Dynamo Zagreb is correct, very good indeed. He returned for his testimonial against Dynamo Zagreb. Jim, which race in 1960 was Ercole Baldini's last major classic victory?
The Grand Prix de Nations.
Very good indeed. Connection?
Is the Truth race, the time trial always known as the Race of Truth.
Why is that?
Well, you're on your own. It's you against the watch instead of against a man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Very good indeed. Bonus point to you, Andy. Who was Uruguay's right half in their 1930 World Cup winning team, whose nephew also claimed a World Cup winners' medal in 1950? Andrade. Yeah, very good indeed. Connection?
The Iron Curtain.
Do you know why?
The Uruguay half-back line in 1930 was nicknamed the Iron Curtain.
Like the sort of modern Arsenal defence. Yeah, very good indeed. Robert. Who, with 12 goals, was West Ham's leading scorer in the league in the 89-90 season?
Jimmy Quinn.
Very good. Connection?
The Tree, that's his nickname.
Do you know why?
Because he was about as mobile as one.
That's right, yeah. Jim, which Spaniard won a bronze medal in the 1967 World Professional Cycling Road Race?
Ramon Saez.
Very
Spain,
good.
Yep.
Connection?
Connection, it was at De Heerlen in Holland.
Very good indeed. Bonus point. Andy, who was the manager of the World Cup runners-up in 1962?
Rudolf Vitlicil.
Very good indeed. Connection?
Bulgaria.
Yeah, he managed Bulgaria in 66. Very good. Robert, which West Ham player, later sold to Bournemouth, scored against Barnsley on his league debut in the 92-93 season?
Steve Jones.
Very good indeed. Connection?
Steptoe.
Sorry, Steptoe is his nickname. He knew that. That's all right. Jim, who won the last of his 7 World Professional Sprint Championships in 1964?
Antoni Maspes of Italy.
Very good indeed. And connection?
Milan.
Correct. That's the end of round 3. Let's look at the scores. Well, Jim is in 3rd place with 13. In 2nd place with 15 is Robert. But in the lead with 16 is Andy Taylor. So, on to the 4th quarter now. Now, I have to ask the following questions in their preset order. But before you hear them, you have to decide how much each question is worth. 1, 2, 3 or 4 points. If you go for 3 and get it right, you score the 3 points. If you get it wrong, you have to give those 3 points to one and only one of your opponents. When you hear this noise, you know you've got 2 minutes left, and it's all over when you hear this sound. The winner of today's show will automatically go through, but we have 2 places in our 3 semi-finals for the highest scoring runners-up, which currently are 49 and 52. Good luck, and may the person with the most points win. So, Jimmy, you've currently got the lowest, but that can all change, so we'll start off with you. How many points would you like?
4.
4 points. Who set a record of 47.518 kilometres per hour in 1968 for the Chevreuse 73.5 kilometre course in the Grand Prix des Nations?
Felice Gimondi.
Thank you for getting that right. Andy, how many points would you like?
4, please, Rory.
Which country finished in 3rd place at the 1954 World Cup?
Austria.
Austria is correct. Robert, how many points would you like for this?
4, please.
Who scored the first goal conceded by West Ham in the 1983-84 season?
Gary Thompson.
Oh, you're so right. It's Gary Lineker, whoever he is. So, a point to give away.
Jim.
Jim, and it's your question.
4, please.
4. Who came 3rd in the Paris-Nice in 1962 and 1967?
Rolf Wolschall of Germany.
Very good. Just in time. Very good indeed. So you got those points. How many points would you like, Andy? 4. Name the manager who guided Brazil to their first World Cup victory in 1958.
Faiola.
Vicente Faiola is correct. Points, Robert.
4, please.
In November 1992, West Ham gained their first points in the international stage of the Anglo-Italian Cup by beating which club?
Reggiana.
Correct. Jim, points.
4, please.
In which race did Arie den Hartog set a speed record of 43.711 kilometres per hour in 1967?
The Amstel Gold.
Very good. Fine drink it is too. Andy.
4, please.
Who scored Northern Ireland's first ever goal in a World Cup finals tournament in 1958?
Wilbur Cush.
Wilbur Cush, very good. Points?
4, please.
Which winger joined West Ham from Oxford United in a £1 million deal in 1994, but changed his mind after a week?
Joey Beecham.
Very good indeed. Jim,
4, please.
Who took possession of the yellow jersey in the 1969 Tour de France after the Nancy to Mulhouse stage? Less than 2 minutes.
Eddie Merckx.
No, it's Desiree Latour.
Latour.
So points to give away.
Robert.
And it's your go, Andy.
4, please.
Which team did West Germany meet in 3 consecutive World Cup quarter-finals between 1954 and 1962?
Yugoslavia.
It's correct. Robert, points.
4, please.
Rio Ferdinand made his first team debut for West Ham as a substitute in the last game of the 95-96 season. Who are they playing?
Sheffield Wednesday.
Correct. Jim?
4, please.
Who was the only man to win successive Tour of Italy titles in the 60s?
Franco Balmanian.
Very good. Andy?
4, please.
Who scored an own goal in England's 4-4 draw with Belgium in the 1954 World Cup tournament?
Jimmy Dickinson.
Correct. Robert?
4, please.
Who are West Ham playing when Billy Bonds made his 500th league appearance for the club?
Ipswich.
Chelsea, I'm afraid. Jim, so points to give away.
Jim.
Jim, it's your go.
4, please.
Which cyclist was voted Sportsman of the Year at the 1965 Sports Writers' Dinner?
Jack Anquetil.
Tommy Simpson, points to give away.
Robert.
Your go, Andy, points.
4, please.
In 1950, which team became the first country to defeat Italy in a World Cup tournament?
Sweden.
Sweden, that is correct. Points, Robert.
4, please.
Which defender joined West Ham from Tottenham in August 1991 for £500,000?
Mitchell Thomas.
Correct, Jim, points.
4, please.
Between 1960 and 1969, who was the only non-Italian to be world professional sprint champion?
Patrick Sergio
Is
Belgium.
correct, Andy, points.
4, please.
Which city played host to both the quarter-final and the subsequent replay between Italy and Spain in the 1934 World Cup?
Florence.
Florence is correct, Robert, points.
3, please.
Against which club was Phil... Oh, and that's the end of the game. Let's have a look at the scores. In third place is Robert with 31. Second place, Jim with 41. But the winner is Andy Taylor with 44 points. Very well played. Very, very close finish indeed. We'll have to say goodbye to you now, Robert and Jim, I'm afraid, because you didn't quite make it to semi-finals, but it's been great having you on the show. And you'll keep in touch, won't you, now? You're right. Good. And Andy, we'll see you in the semi-finals. Which just leaves me time to say that sex between consenting adults can be beautiful. It's just hard to find 2 adults who let you stand in between them, you know, while they're doing it. Thank you and goodbye.
Research goes on next Monday at 11:10. But next tonight on UK Gold, our regular double visit to the Bill.